pod bay doors, please, Hal.
Are born.
You haven't got enough in your britches to pull the trigger on Barbarossa.
Some are made.
Never meant to kill August.
And some...
Damn it, stop that.
...are made for each other.
Take turns on this jackass.
Their relationship was based on understanding.
Oh, time to go. I'm gonna have to rob you. Get your money out.
Patience.
Shoot him, Carl, if you want to. We got time.
Forgiveness.
Get out of here. What's wrong? I had no idea she was your daughter. All we did was just talk.
And the feeling that no matter where they went...
Well, good morning to you, sir. Plan to kill me today?
They would always be wanted.
Killer.
Papa wants you dead. You're on my road, amigos.
You know who I am?
I know who you are.
We may be in trouble.
Universal Pictures presents Gary Busey.
What's the matter with me? Ain't I been good company?
Willie Nelson.
I ain't gonna lie to you, you know? I'm getting all wore out trying to keep you entertained.
Barbarossa. Two friends.
Careful! You're kicking rocks all over
and
me!
the legend
You missed him.
that was bigger than both of
What the
them.
hell you doing? Already been down there.
The pod bay doors are open. Welcome once again. I'm your host, Jerry Dean Roberts of Armchair Cinema and ArmchairOscars.com. Sitting here with my friend on the range, the critic, dare I say legend, for TalkWithMe.com, Mr. Doug Heller. How the heck are you today, sir?
Manos arribas, you sons of bitches.
Welcome to A Lost Treasure. This is Barbarossa, and we're kind of doing a couple of westerns this month, and
4 to be precise.
4 to be precise. We're talking about a movie that a very few people know about, but more people should experience. It's called Barbarossa, and it's an odd movie.
Always stand still until you're done shooting. Nothing scares a man more than you to be standing still when you should be running like a spotted ass ape.
It sounds much better coming out of Willie Nelson.
It does.
Here's the funny thing. It is very, very similar to the movie we talked about last week, The Gunfighter.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of production, could not be any further away from the two are complete polar opposites.
Oh yeah.
Because The Gunfighter was very much a production.
Right. It was atypical Hollywood, but it was still Hollywood.
Right. You can see all the New York actors with cowboy hats.
Yeah.
In the four walls of the set. But the story is almost the same. You have a man who is a legendary gunfighter whose myth is so much bigger than the reality.
Mm-hmm.
A man who's feared, whose name is feared, and who but if you meet him, you realize he's all too human, and it's that mythology was the breaking of the West,
mm-hmm.
and it was also something that John Wayne hated.
Yeah.
And you get too close, and it's one of those things where it's like you got this character where everybody's afraid to get too close to him, but if you actually get too close to him, you realize he's just flesh and blood.
Right, except this one dumb kid that just can't leave him alone.
And that's the template of this film, is
mm-hmm.
that, they just can't let this go.
Right.
And it starts with, and it's really strange to see this, Gary Busey before he lost his marbles.
This is before his teeth grew up into his brain, I think.
And he's very good in this movie.
He's very good in this.
Although he has the character, I love the opening of this because he's riding his horse through a briar patch,
Mhm.
and in these very tight close-ups, is tearing at his clothes, and you can see the blood dripping on the vine as it's just kind of tearing at him. And it gives you the template of this film because this movie is not polished at all.
Mm-mm.
The West is, and this was filmed in Texas and takes place in Mexico. And all of this movie is about the grime and the dirt and the blood of the Old West.
Yeah, this is very much in keeping with the Wild Bunch or the spaghetti
Mhm.
westerns.
This is 1982.
Yeah, so it was very influenced by those kind of more realistic westerns of
Mhm.
the 60s and early 70s than uh, traditional Hollywood stuff. And yeah, I told you the first time I watched it, I was continuously waiting for a Sam Peckinpah movie to break out because it
Yeah.
looks just like one of his
Mhm.
not as well funded ones.
Right. And he,
But it never does. It never does.
it never does, and it keeps revealing layers. This movie's like an onion. It keeps revealing layers. Um, there's a motivation for everything.
Hmm.
And there's no glory.
No.
There's no glory in this movie at all.
And nobody's seeking any.
Right. It's all revenge. It's empty, hollow, needless revenge.
Yeah.
But let's start with the Gary Busey character. Because he's a kid who, at the beginning of the movie, is chasing his father's cow.
Well, that's the story he gives, sure.
That's the story he gives. He's on the run,
Hmm.
and his former employer is trying to kill him. And he's actually sent people out to kill him. And he's in the wilderness, and it's not like he's, on the back of a horse with a nice shirt on and a pretty hat that just came out of the costume department. No, he looks roughed up.
He looks like he's wearing the only thing he's ever owned.
Right, right. And, the plains of Texas, you can see them on his face.
Mhm.
I mean, they're just, it's just a wearying experience.
Yeah.
People are trying to kill you. You have no survival instinct. He's a wet behind the ears, just farm kid. And fortunately for him, he is rescued by Barbarossa, who is, again, this legendary gunfighter, who makes a hell of an entrance.
He does that. You know what? There are great entrances in the
Mhm.
history of cinema, and this is a lost one.
Yeah.
He comes in like a badass, man.
Hmm.
Just the way that he just Manos Arribas. Well, you ain't nothing but a damn farm boy. And when it turns around and you see the red-headed stranger come out from a lens flare,
Hmm.
it's just a great shot.
The movie is directed by Fred Skepsey, an Australian director. I think he's best known in this country for a movie called The Cry in the Dark, which was the Meryl Streep movie. Later on, he photographs this thing at the very beginning with a lot of lens flare that kind of has this ghostly look to it, as if you're entering a landscape in which the mythology of the West is still alive and well, and the people are superstitious, and they believe that somebody like Barbarossa is indestructible, and they all want to try it out. Everybody wants to kill him and be the one, the guy who goes down in history as the person who took him out. A lot like Ringo in The Gunfighter. You want to be the
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be the one with that legacy.
But there's to me there's a stark difference. It's
Hmm.
a similarity, but it's a stark difference because Barbarossa is being hunted by one family.
Right. Who
But
keeps hiring all these goons to go out
I thought he
and
kept
kill
sending
him?
kids. He kept sending his
Sending
he
these.
kept he
Like,
keeps
that was
sending
so. Oh
he
my
keeps
God, that
sending
was so.
relatives like grandchildren and
That was so horrible. He's sending these kids who just don't. They don't know. He builds up their anger and builds up their rage against this man, and they go out and they just get shot to death.
and he yeah, like he sends them out uh just one right after another, and he's it's the vengeance of not only the original offense,
Hmm.
which has been apparently misremembered
Yeah.
greatly, um, but now it's vengeance for all the other boys that Barbarossa's killed because they were sent after him to kill him for. So it's just like, well, now he owes us for John, Tim, Tom, Bill,
Hmm.
Carl, Phil,
So you sent
Tom.
them.
Yeah, if you
It's
send
like,
someone to shoot at someone else and they get shot, that's that's part of it. Like
right.
you either get shot or you're gonna shoot. I don't know. I've always loved that when somebody starts fighting back in a movie
Hmm.
and they hit the villain and it's like, oh, you're gonna pay for that. It's like,
Yeah.
did you expect them to not?
Hmm. Yeah.
You killed my brother. Your brother was shooting at me, and so were you.
Hmm.
What am I gonna do? Stand here and let you
This
shoot me?
whole hollow emptiness of revenge. Because what do you have when it's over? You just have a you just have a lot of dead bodies.
Hmm.
You know, I guess the idea that you would have this satisfaction that you got your revenge, but what do you really have?
Yeah, but when it's revenge like this, it's cyclical. It's
Yeah, it keeps
they
going.
get the one, but then whoever on that other person's side goes, well, you killed them, now I'm going to kill you, and then
Yeah.
you succeed in killing them, and then they're like, well, you killed him, now we're going to come after you. It's like, well, you know, honor vengeance just creates stacks of bodies, just like you said.
Right.
It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's
Yeah.
you know
Becomes generational.
right.
You know. Yeah,
Which
and
as a quick side note, um, I knew somebody who was a teacher in the town that the Hatfields and McCoys originated in,
mhm,
and there are still just
rivalries still.
bodies showing up.
Yeah.
She said she had to call the police because there was a dead body outside the school when she was going to open it up, and people were just like kind of walking over it. And
Mhm. Wow.
it's like commonplace there that people are just going to get shot and killed.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's this
Well, and
little town in West Virginia.
it's amazing because I think the Gary Busey character is the only person that has ever been able to really get close to Barbarossa.
And because he's the only one that isn't immediately terrified of him.
Right.
He's not smart enough to be scared of him.
And he gets close enough to him that he brings out the paternal instincts in Barbarossa. Um, and he sees him as all too human. You know, he's not this lion of, this mythological figure. He's just a man who knows how to survive,
Hmm.
really. And he's not above killing people. And what I love is there's a scene early on when they try to rob this old couple, and Gary Busey won't do it.
Right.
And it makes you think in your mind, well, Barbarossa is a terrible person. He's just robbing old people who barely have anything. And then you realize why he's robbing these people.
Mm-hmm.
He's not keeping the money. He's giving it to his family.
Right.
That this is the way. This is him being pushed into the only way he can make a living.
Right.
And so it's not, well, I'm just robbing these old people because I can.
Right.
There's a reason for this. And it's so great. I love that revelation because it takes the load off of him because he's not just cold-blooded. He
right.
has a daughter.
Right.
He has a daughter.
He has a daughter. He's doing this so that they can have a nest egg and get far away from all of the stuff so that they can't be found. And he wants to take his daughter, and he just wants to live out his days, because he's getting old.
Yeah.
I mean,
and meanwhile,
what was he by this point? Willie Nelson, like 50?
Well, he's 88 now, and this was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 40s, 50s. Yeah. This is before the IRS came calling. If you don't know that part of Willie Nelson's story, look it up, because wow.
That was most of the 80s. That's how I actually knew him.
Yeah. He's like anybody else, like all these celebrities who just, like Ed McMahon and Hammer and all these people just built up this these problems with the IRS. And but this relationship between these two guys is so great because it's not friendly in that way. It's not. They're not sitting by the campfire telling stories.
Right.
Their union is basically them trying to survive. And the vision that we have of Barbarossa takes place through Gary Busey's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And, just a man who is a mean survivalist. There's a scene at the very beginning, and he is so schooled at creating his own legend. At the very beginning of the movie, someone shoots him through the hat, through this wide brim hat that he's wearing, and he never flinches.
Well, it's not through the hat. It goes across his cheek. The bullet actually cuts his cheek.
And goes through the hat. And he doesn't flinch.
Right.
And that kind of stuff is what creates the legend. It also keeps people away, while at the same time drawing out all of these people who want a piece of it.
Right.
Who want a piece of the legend. And it's so interesting the way it builds up. And
then he gets by on being feared until they get to that one bandit.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Do you know who I am?" He goes, "Oh, I know who you are."
Eduardo?
Yeah. We might be in trouble. Uh-oh.
That is such a fresh-faced kid. He's just... But his jaw is, like, locked for the whole movie. He's got that fire in his eyes, and he's just ready to do this. And...
Oh, no, I'm talking about the guy that they ended up burying in the... they just came from...
Oh, yeah, you're talking about... let's see. His name is Angel, but they pronounce it...
Ango, yeah.
Ango Morales.
Ango Morales.
Yeah, that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the guy on the road that they meet. Yeah, okay.
On the road.
They meet him earlier in the movie, and they... This is horrible. They bury him up to his neck, surrounded by dead bodies.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence style.
Yeah.
And there's two other bodies with him. They are the sons that were trying to find Gary Busey.
Mm-hmm.
That this bandit just shot down Just
Mm-hmm.
just shot them
Right.
because they were standing there and they didn't expect it. And now poor Gary Busey's getting blamed for that too. He's like, I didn't shoot them.
He only shoots one person in this movie. And it's only because he has to.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's being pursued by this man because he thinks he killed his sons. And
Well, this
he's
is the
being
guy from the beginning whose
Yeah.
son he did actually kill
Yeah.
that started him off on his whole run. But
Mhm.
again, he sent 2 kids out,
Mhm.
2 of his own sons, and then he goes out himself. That whole thing, the way that
They
that
ended up getting killed.
the way that whole thing ended at the actual end of the movie was really sad.
That was really sad.
This guy just would not let it go, even
Would
after
not
he'd
let
been
this go.
his 3 of his kids had been killed. He had been embarrassed horribly.
Mhm.
And then he just goes back, and then he misses again, kills
Mhm.
Carl's father. And he's like, now what do you want me to do?
Mhm.
You're giving me the only you're giving me one choice,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to shoot you, and I don't want to do it. Stop shooting at me. It's
Right.
literally what he said. I don't want to shoot you. Stop shooting at me.
Right.
And the guy just
And he tries to reason with him.
but the guy just he has either this misguided
It's
sense
grief.
of frontier justice.
I think it's grief.
It's grief, and it's. I mean, he will not. I mean, he's to blame for the 2 younger kids.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
sent them out to do that, even though they were saying, "Don't do this.
Mhm.
Let it go.
Yeah.
It was an accident." And
But
oh
this movie is just peppered with people who just can't let it go.
no, yeah,
That's all this movie is. That's the whole template of this movie. They can't let it go.
and Don Brulio.
It's just angry because, and he builds this legend of Barbarossa, telling the school children the story of how he lost his leg, and breeding another generation of children who are going to get older and get involved in this and get themselves killed.
Right, and it's all built up, like most things are, over a misunderstanding.
Mm.
Something happened that
It's ballooned way out of reason.
nobody
and it's just-
was given the chance to explain, and if they said anything, they were dismissed out of hand. I don't understand that. Tell me the truth. This happened and this happened, and it was an accident. You're lying. No, but
Tell me the truth. I want to hear.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
And there's this whole very simple story about how he lost his leg, and it was on Barbarossa's wedding night. It was a very simple story. It was very much a misunderstanding. It was not meant to be, but it just got ballooned all out of reason, and it just became this huge thing.
I love it. You said you slit I never did that, and that you shot him in the knee and he had to lose his leg. Okay, I did that one. Like, all right, you got me on that one, but
Okay, you got me on that one, but yeah, and it's so wild. And it's so tragic.
it is.
This is a movie that the further you look into it, the more substance it gains, because when Barbarossa dies, one of the things he wants the Gary Busey to do is keep the legacy alive.
Right, stop
Because-
the kid that actually did stab him and kill him from getting back to the compound
Yeah,
and spreading the story that he's dead, because if he doesn't come back, they'll just know.
yeah.
Um,
They'll just know that he did it. And
although he didn't do everything Don Brulio asked him to.
right. Right.
Unlike Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, he did not bring his body part to...
Never seen that one.
Oh,
never
it's
seen that
really good. Oh.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. But this one, I came across this one a couple of years ago, and I remember Roger Ebert was actually talking about it on a show, and he was saying it's really too bad that the studio pulled the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They had no confidence in it, and they didn't promote it. And he went on the air, and he said to the people in the studio, "I would like to see this movie. Show me this movie so I can make up my own mind." And he came back and he said, "Yeah, this is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad you pulled it."
Yeah. I think that was
really too bad you pulled it.
General consensus.
Yeah, it's like too bad you pulled it.
Yeah.
Because you got a good movie on your hands.
It could have been an Oscar contender.
It could have been. Willie Nelson easily could have been nominated for an Oscar for this.
Oh, yeah.
He is so good because when you... He's so good as a man building his own legend. And you meet him and you realize he's this gruff old hermit, this gruff old sumbitch who's just out in the prairie surviving.
Mm-hmm.
He is not this mythological killer, and he's not this...
The man has to eat armadillo to survive.
Which, by the way, if you ever eat armadillo,
I've not.
make sure you're not doing anything for the next couple of hours, and make sure you're near a bathroom. Yeah. You will shit your brains out. But and he has this thing for, I guess armadillo is the preferred thing in the territory, because he's teaching Gary Busey how to catch armadillo.
Yeah.
And what was it? He came back. Oh, he came back with the gold because they were climbing. They were climbing
up
a cliff.
after Barbarossa had been shot and presumed dead, while Carl was covering him up. This is after the bandit shot the two kids. He shoots Barbarossa in the stomach, and Carl, the Gary Busey, was digging these graves anyway. And so they...
Oh, I love that scene.
He's just throwing dirt on him. And he's like, "Hey, anybody watching?" And Carl looks around.
Yeah.
Takes another shovelful of dirt, throws it on him. "Stop doing that. Is anybody looking?" "I thought you were dead." "Is anybody
No, just
looking?"
tickle my innards a little.
Yeah, just tickle my innards a little, I think.
I think the bullet must have gone in and come out the other side, because
It was like the Tom Waits episode in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. So you just got guts.
Yeah. Well, and it's because later on, again, Barbarossa is this mean survivalist, cauterizes his own wound with gunpowder.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no "I'm going to stick my knife in a fire and sit it next to it" kind of stuff. This is, "I'm going to pour gunpowder in the wound and light it."
I saw two other movies that came out at the same time as Barbarossa that literally did the exact same thing. I can't remember.
Yeah.
One of them was First Blood.
It was a thing. It was a thing.
One of them was First Blood, because he gets shot in the side with an arrow, and he cauterizes the wound with gunpowder, and it's like, ow!
Yeah. It's effective.
It works. You know what I love is, I love it when he sends Eduardo out, or Don Brulio sends Eduardo out. He says, "Bring me his cojones."
Mm-hmm. On a stick.
On a stick?
So,
ew.
"Bring them to me here." And it's like, I mean, here's the thing about that.
And then when he gets back after having killed him. He didn't.
But I'm the proof that I'm even here. I'm the
No,
proof.
no, 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 no.
The funny thing is, when you really stop and think about this,
And I did.
why didn't the guy think of, well, gee, all I have to do is kill some old guy and bring his nutsack back.
Thank
It's not
you.
identifiable. How is he going to know that it's
Thank you.
Barbarossa's balls?
Thank you. This is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, he could kill anybody.
Anybody. Make it an old person, make sure there's some white hairs on it, and just take it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, and even after he killed Barbarossa, once he was on the road for a little bit, he should have just pulled off, killed an old guy, and taken the.
But it's just like he's sitting there. He says, "You didn't bring me his cojones," and I'm looking at him thinking, the kids should be like, do you realize the hell you put me through? And this is your only problem? The man is dead. You got what you wanted. And I love how sort of unforgiving Barbarossa is, because the scene where they're climbing this steep cliff and they have 2 bags of gold, and he's trying to get up and the only way he says, get rid of it. He says,
Right,
I can't help you and hold the gold at the same time.
Put it down next to you.
Yeah.
But he throws it down.
So he throws it. And he goes back down to get it.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and the first thing and he tells Barbarossa, he says, "Hey, I went down and got your gold." And the first thing Barbarossa says is, "I bet you didn't get me an armadillo."
But he did.
But he did.
And that was the moment that Barbarossa started to come around on Carl.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, you are listening to me. You're just kind of slow.
Yeah.
you're just a little too green for.
Well, let's face it. You look at Gary Busey and you're thinking he's not missing a meal.
No.
Yeah.
He is the epitome of the big dumb farm kid.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, this whole movie is about breaking your illusions, because you think he's just this slow-witted idiot. He's not. He's capable of learning.
It just takes him a little
listening.
while to.
It just takes him a little while. It takes him a little, he has to kind of go through the fire a little bit, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way that works out, because he does become. And did you get the feeling at the end? Because he does get a farm. Carl does get a farm at the end of the movie, and you see him sometime later, and he's growing a beard, and you're thinking in your mind, it's like, is he becoming Barbarossa?
And he kind of is, because his father got killed. By the guy that he then had to kill. His sister died not long after,
Mm-hmm.
so he inherited the family farm, and he's just working it by himself.
I was afraid that the movie was going to end with him picking up the mantle of Barbarossa. He kind of does, but the movie's not explicit about that.
Right, he doesn't. Nobody really sees, because he doesn't kill anybody there.
Right.
He just rides in and causes a disturbance and shoots at but he doesn't actually kill anybody, so there's no real reason for them to go after him.
He revives the legacy of Barbarossa.
That there is one still out there, regardless of whether it's the one or not.
Right. And I love that. I love the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
And I love the journey that we've taken. It's so great because it is so sad. Because none of this had to happen.
No.
None of this was inevitable. And it's all based, the template of this whole movie is based in reality because there's cause and effect. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything that happens. And the reason that most of it happens is stubbornness.
Right.
Just people not letting things go. and not understanding, and building and ballooning a legend out of basically nothing, out of a complete total misunderstanding. And when you get to the end, you're thinking all these dead bodies, none of this had to happen.
Yeah, all of it was avoidable.
Yeah, yeah. And oh, I love this movie so
It
much.
was really good. I'm glad you found it and were reminded of it. It's a really it's a lost little bit of all right.
I'm glad it's available. It's on HBO Max
Mhm.
at the time we're recording this, and a really good print of it too.
Yeah.
I want to get this on the Blu-ray because I understand that the Blu-ray looks really, really, really good.
Hmm.
Because you need. This is not. This is a movie that that really takes advantage of the landscapes.
Yeah.
Fred Skepsi's an Australian director, and and Australian directors are famous for making the landscapes look beautiful, but at the same time savage and forbidding at the same time.
Well,
And he
yeah,
does that.
because Australians, 5 of the 10 most deadliest animals in the world are usually in their backyard on a Tuesday.
Right.
Like it.
Right. Right. And if you've ever seen the Outback, it's not inviting.
No.
No.
Ooh, that would be a good movie to talk about. Have you seen Walkabout?
It's been years.
Me too.
It's been years.
That was a good one.
But just the look of this movie,
Yeah.
you can feel the heat on that landscape.
And you can
just
smell every
Yeah.
character.
they're sweaty and dirty, and that's the one complaint I had about the Gunfighter is that everybody looked nice, clean, and pressed.
Yeah.
Again, New York actors with cowboy hats. As good a movie as that is, it was very much a production.
It reminded me. I just recently, with my son, went back and rewatched the movies and the TV show The Librarians, the TNT. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, but they work for this eternal library, keeping mythic facts like the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant, and the Spear of Destiny, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a really cute premise, and it's really fun. But there's one where they travel back in time, and the show has Noah Wiley and Rebecca Romaine, and they go back in time to like the 1650s, and she's fighting with him, and she goes, "Oh my God, this guy smells horrible!" And she starts listing all of the ways that he smells, and Noah Wiley's character, Flynn Carson, goes, "Yeah, that's the part that they don't tell you in time travel movies. It's the past stinks."
Yeah, you see these guys go back to ancient Rome, and it's like, okay, this place is going to smell like sewage.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
basically. I mean, yeah,
I can imagine that Barbarossa just smells like body odor all the time.
and
I mean,
horse. Remember, he rides a horse all the time.
And
too.
he rides a horse all the time. Ugh.
Ay.
That's all I
the
got.
funk of that could have rivaled 70s music. Like,
Ugh. Ugh. Terrible.
yeah.
That's all I got.
Next episode,
A duology.
a duology, a study in opposites, if you will. Fred Zinnemann's 1952 classic, High Noon, and Howard Hawks' 1958 classic rebuttal film, Rio Bravo. Two starkly different movies that have somehow fallen into the realm of Keaton, Chaplin, and Star Wars and Star Trek. It's most people have to come down on a side. I don't.
Yeah.
I love both of them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and it was really fascinating for me to watch them back to back, because of how different they are. But I'm looking forward to that. And what do we have in August?
Well, I'm going to make an executive decision. You were asking me about this earlier. Our first movie in August is my choice, and I'm choosing The Kid.
Yay.
This movie is 100 years old, and it was the first feature directed by Charlie Chaplin, starring 6-year-old Jackie Coogan.
And it's brilliant.
And it's brilliant.
Um,
And it's also short. It's a short movie.
It's like an hour, yeah.
Were you surprised at how short Barbarossa was? I remember it being longer than this. It's 90 minutes.
If this were made today, it would be an hour longer than it is.
It's a tight, at least 84 minutes,
Yeah.
I think.
No,
Barbarossa's not that long.
92 minutes, I think. But
Is it 92?
But even still, if it had been made today, if somebody took that script and didn't rewrite it and shot it today, it would be 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
There would also be a lot more violence.
Oh yeah.
It'd be there.
That's the one thing I love about this movie is it does not luxuriate the violence.
That's what I love in all of the westerns that were picked this month.
Yeah.
That they're very anti-violence. They don't want the shootout to happen, and in most cases it doesn't.
It's not the John Woo, where we slowly whip out the gun and we, jump to the side and
right, and it's not like The Quick and the Dead where there's like gunfights in the middle of a town every day.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's a real film.
Yeah,
it's a real film.
Yeah, it is. And
all right,
I enjoyed it, and I think I'm still going on. I'm still thinking of a second one, but the one we do after the Kid is going to be Jules Dassin's first film in France after he fled Hollywood to get away from the blacklist. It's called Rififi, and it is one of the greatest heist movies ever made, and does not involve putting together a crew of old friends. And the scene of the safe cracking, there's no dialogue, there's no music, and it's like 25 minutes long. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I know you haven't seen it, and I'm really looking forward to you watching this.
I love movies where you're watching somebody who's good at something do what they do.
Yeah, the Rififi is
like that.
spectacular. And I love Jules Dassin's American work too. So I'm looking forward to that. And the second one is tentatively Heat, but I'm not quite sure if I find a better European heist movie, I'll probably go with that.
Okay.
But right now it might be Heat, because that's a damn good one too. So that's what we have coming up. We'll figure out what the fourth one is, and we'll let you know. You can find all of our back episodes at thepodbaydorspodcast.wordpress.com. You can listen to us on iTunes and on YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe, and make sure you get the notifications. At pod_bay is our Twitter and Patreon handle. We will be working on getting some more Patreon exclusives up there as soon as our timing allows. We thank you so very much for joining us, and the pod bay doors are now closed.
The mission has been completed.